This is the second part of Raini Bowles' presentation entitled FYI with Aces High, I Hope I Cans, I Know I Cans, Yes, I Cans, Shine On, which she gave at the 2021 Yes You Cans Parent Education Conference. Raini jumps in here talking about the cans and reviewing what she found to be Dr. Israel's most important pieces to capture. Raini refers to the handouts and links which will be presented as a Yes You Cans workbook on the FYIdaho website. Raini continues to encourage families to advocate. She shares how her family has navigated the youth handbook.
So our first speaker was Dr. Israel. He has so much to say, and I can't wait for the videos to come out so I can digest all of it. I was busy taking notes and I was trying to pull all of the pieces that I felt were like the very most important pieces for you guys to capture down on paper and put them here for you. And I do know that two things that he said would help us with this were finding out about the recommended levels of care for our children, whether that's a 0, 1, 2, or 3. I loved the way he explained them to us so that we could know that a little bit better. And then also knowing the frequency and intensity of services that are determined by that level of care. One of the things that he gave us for understanding that is in his handouts, and it is the algorithms. And it goes over a lot of those pieces. Don't have to look at it here because guess what? It is in the handouts that are on the application. So all you have to do is go down to documents and then you can go in there and print them out for yourselves. And I'm going to be showing you the pieces that you really definitely want to be pulling out of that. So some of the tips and tools that he gave that I thought were really very helpful and could be used by all of us was accessing the understanding of algorithms, which is the part that I just showed you. And then if you can't find it there, write that down. Write down that little link there so that you can get it. And maybe Michelle could even type it into chat for you so you can just capture it. But it was really important for me when I saw that yesterday to share that with you because it had so much very valuable information in it that really kind of explained some of those things to us, the numbers and the intensity and all of that. So that was a very key piece that I want you guys to capture. He said, be an active part of the treatment. An active part. Don't just sit out in the hallway or send them in another car all the time. Do the check-ins. Make sure that you guys are on the same page. Make sure that you know what's happening and what parts you should be able to help with because it is a family that is being impacted by our issues, whether it's mental health or trauma or a myriad of things. It could be a whole conglomeration of things. We're all impacted, not just one child. Everyone in the family, an extended family, everyone in our community that is close to these kids. So the more that we can be active in that treatment, the more that we can help to help others understand, ourselves to understand, the family to be able to navigate together in order to help these children or child. And advocate for your family as a whole, not just as one family member, but as a whole. Advocate for yourself, for your spouse or partner, for your children, grandparents, whoever is a part of that family unit. Advocate to try to get the help. Maybe grandma and grandpa do not understand schizophrenia or bipolar or autism, and you need to advocate for more tools to help them understand too. Do it. Talk to your providers about it. Get some help from someone. Talk to another friend that has similar circumstances. That's one of the nice things about the IFF and now FYIdaho is that we have community. We have community of people who have similar circumstances and better understanding of the things that we go through. And together we can collaborate, like Dr. Fernando talked about, and become stronger, not just in our advocating for ourselves by listening to other people's stories and resources, but also as a group, as we advocate within our city and our community, but also as our state and even our nation for the rights and the resources for these children and for our families. And then understand and utilize the tools that we've been given. There were a few things that he brought up. Two of them I printed out yesterday. One was that my treatment plan summary, and it was really kind of, it has places for the child to fill in information for us to see if they are understanding their own treatment plan. So it's in words they can understand. They understand why we're doing this and how it's going to affect them. The other part was the planning pyramid, which he talked about on multiple occasions. So the pyramid. And if you haven't printed those out yet, once again, those are in Whova under documents. And I would really recommend you go in and you print out some of those things. The other thing that he talked about, and we're going to talk about this a couple of times, was he talked about the Yes Youth Workbook and the Yes Family Book. I think, yeah, Family Book. And the Yes Youth Workbook is like 17 pages long, 11 pages long. It's 11 pages long. Here's what I did. I have kids with a lot of different ranges. I have one that is probably really high functioning Asperger's, but not diagnosed. I have one that is SCD, which is a cousin to autism. Also has ADHD, OCD, DMDD, and a whole bunch of other letters past his name, right? Too bad he's not a doctor. He'd look really great with all those letters, maybe someday. But I also have another one that is very sensory, the one that can't tell emotion and thinks that everything is personal and an attack on him and hates the word no or any kind of a redirection that makes him feel like he did something wrong. He has a trigger response to it. So I was like, how am I going to do this with my kids? I also have 2 little girls, but they don't write yet well enough to do this. What I did was I gave this to my kids, each one of the boys, and I let them do it in their own way. So my oldest one, who is very articulate, he wrote in it. He wrote, it's very friendly for the kids. And he wrote in it, which worked out great. We were able to give it to his counselor. One of them spoke it type to text or text to type into his computer and filled out all of them. I just had to let them know you need to say what page it is and tell the question so it's a whole sentence so they know what you're actually talking about and they can put it together. And then the third one actually typed it out. Each one of them got to use whatever they felt most comfortable with, but they got to do it in their own way so they felt like they had some control and some power in it. So they had buy-in. And once they had buy-in, that really helped. We have not finished our TCCs yet. I'm not really sure where the holdup is at the moment. Partially, I think because we keep getting a lot of different targeted care coordinators. There seems to be a lot of turnaround in that area. But my kids have done their part, and that was huge, very huge for me. The girls, it was easy because once the boys had done their part and felt so proud about it, then the girls wanted to have that buy-in. So they were able to tell me their stories, and I just had to go through it. What I found out was once we did our Yes Youth book, there wasn't an awful lot of reason to do the family youth because so much of it was the same. So I would read through the family book first, looking at the Yes Youth workbook, and maybe just filling in there if there's something you want to make sure that you bring to the attention of whoever is doing that for you for your cans. That really worked really well for us, and it worked well for our provider that was doing the cans. So those are my highlights on that part. So I know I can. Now I have to hope. Now I've filled out the cans. I'm even to the point where we've done it a few times and I know I can, but now I have reassessments on a regular basis. And that's where the no comes from. So the no here stands for, what do you think it stands for? Keep notes on what works, because that's what this was, right? It's notes on what works. And the more I can tell the providers, especially throughout the year, things that have changed in our family, things that worked, things that didn't work, the more I can do that, the more helpful it is to them during the reassessment. So if you want your reassessments to go smoothly, you want to get the most bang for your buck, for the hope from the cans, you want to know what you're doing by keeping notes on what works, okay? We have had a lot of changes in our family this past year. And so there were changes to the cans. COVID, right there, there's a change to your cans because it did up the level of anxiety for my kids. It changed how we were able to get access to providers. It changed how we were able to work things in our daily plan, our daily life, and our social life. And that changed everything for my kids. We also had their bio parents divorce this year. That was a big change for them. And there were some other things that had happened. So if there are things like that, make sure you're keeping that. I would keep this in a notebook, maybe with these, and you guys can just work on them at different times and keep things going so that when it's time for your reassessment, you're not going like, I have no idea what last March. I don't know. I think there was something big. It might have had an impact on us, but I can't remember. Keep up on this, guys. What's happening? What's working? What's not working? What resources have you changed? What providers have you changed? Has it helped? Has it not helped? What do you want? Keep notes, make a notebook. But why are we doing that? Why do we need to keep notes on what works? Because the CANS assessment and the reassessments result in yes. And everybody wants yes, nobody wants no, right? The whole reason we're doing CANS is to get that yes, to have those services. And we want to keep our eye on that goal.
Next, join us in the last portion of Raini's presentation as she wraps up the 2021 conference, highlights from Dr. April Fernando and the Magellan team, which consisted of Barbara Dunn, Chastity Widerspoon, and Sharon Weber.